Okay, let's go in closer. And just thinking about his model in general, I think I'm a little off model. Technically, he's supposed to have these, you know, um, like a bit of a, covering over here on his along the jawline. And I could easily go back and add that, and also he has three stripes, I believe, along his rib cage. So I'm not completely on model. Um, for the geeks out there, along with me, who would spot those kinds of things. So let's make a leg layer. Command R, and I'm going for best practices. Let me just point out that it's important when you're not rushing through it like I am right now for this example. Uh, Usually, pretty much all the time, you should separate each leg left from right on their own layer. The same for arms and eyeballs and pupils and mouths. All of these things should be on their own layer. You see how my mask is on the same layer of the eyes and the mouth in a more organized, more traditional sense of attacking your, or not attacking, but organizing your layers over here is to separate each asset, each eye, each mouth, each torso, or yeah, and you can have several torsos if you're doing a turnaround character, especially if you're building a character as a rig. So it's important to do that. But here, for all intents and purposes, I'm going to make just his legs on one layer and his both of his legs on one layer, left and right, and his left and right arm on the same layer as well, just a separate layer from those legs. So let's call these Logan legs. It's all about, naming, keeping it the same. Logan legs. Add and close. Turn on my light table. Make sure I have black selected. And I'm going to try to keep some semblance of his model over here. Why am I starting on that particular frame? Shouldn't I be somewhere up here where his legs start normal? I could very well have started where I started with him on the flat end, but I think I'd like to get a better grasp of what his legs should look like proportionally to his body before I start going crazy with them. So let's start on the first layer, Logan legs, first layer, first frame. And I'm going to bring that stretch now, that smooth out. Look what happens when I try to make a curve at 100. Well, let's see. Ah, that's not cool. So let's bring that down to about 20. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out the model for his legs as I go along. Let's see. I'm gonna do this. His boots are very, complicated for something that I'm trying to do so simply. But I'm gonna do this. I'll get rid of this one right here. And let's see. Let's follow the silhouette of his foot. I don't like that line right there. Personally, I would have, if I had my own 2 cents to say about it, which I should because this is on my own video. But you know, I think that these legs could be better constructed, given some more time, I think is my point. I don't like this leg, so I'm going to start over. And A, delete. Now, this brings up another thing that I think you may enjoy, actually. There is something, there's different layers over here, if you're not aware of them, or you may have seen them, but not have found a use for them. Here's the color layer. You can separate colors. That's very helpful. Sidebar, auto patch is awesome if you have a character, say, I don't know, Medbot from Big Hero 6. If he's all white, his white arms on his white torso to make it look flush against, you know, his body, like there's no seam lines between his arms and his torso. You use an auto patch, and you can do that by separating these color art from the line art, and you can connect an auto patch found in your node library to make it gives you illusion that that arm is, you know, completely, you know, one piece with the torso. But then we also have the underlay layer. I'm not going to get into overlay and that jazz, but just for the purposes of what we're talking about, you have an underlay layer. It doesn't come immediately with your, by default, I should say, with Harmony. When you open it for the first time, you have to actually set it to that. You would find that over here in Harmony. You would find that in preferences, and you would go into, let's see, is it general? Hold on. Right, in advanced, under support overlay and underlay arts, if you check it off and hit OK to save your selection, then you have these this extra support pop up above and below your line art and color art. So that's very handy to have. So underlay, I think the best way to think about the underlay is you can use it to make, you know, test drawings so that you can draw on the go, I think is the best way to, you know, think of a use for it. So if I want to go over here and add a color, I'm going to say pink is the one that I've found to be the best, least intrusive of having an underlay layer color. So let's see, because if you have blue, you know, which I love to sketch in, or red, when it's time to clean it up, it's harder to see through it. That's the only drawback to it. No pun intended. So now on the underlay layer with my brush selected, and let's see if I can just find my new pink, I can start thinking about what I'm drawing before I have to clean it up, but still on the go. So I can think more about in stick terms of his legs without having to think about his boots first. Maybe I can give a little nuance to his legs so they're not, you know, so twinny. So now I can think about how thick these should be. I think that's a little too thick right there. Here's my eraser. Oops, too much eraser. I can grab this. I think that'll do what we're doing. I'll try to wing the rest of it as I clean it up. So I'll go back to my line art layer, go to my black color, and let's do this with the right color. See that a lot. this entire session. That's what happens when you don't use Harmony 22 to make a video. So now I can think about the model a little bit more closely. And that's still a little bad to me, so bear with me. Here we go. That's gonna be fun trying to replicate. Oh, all right. And his boots are blue, I believe. I can always check my reference. Always good to keep references nearby because they help. There you go. Blue boots with a black stripe going down the center. So let's go back to that. See, I have all my different harmonies. Should have gone for this one, but I went for that one. So let's see. Blue. I could make a darker blue really quick just by having the blue selected, so I don't have to go too far. When I make it darker, one leg down, or one set of legs down. So with that, 2 frames of 5. And when you are done with your underlay layer and you don't want to see it right now, you can always turn it on and off, but you just have to go into the settings of the layer in order for it to go away for, you know, the time that you don't need to see it or have it rendered out with your work. So you can just double click on the layer and you can go to, let's see, is it drawing? Yep, it's going to be underlay art enabled. Just turn it off. And that wasn't the best demonstration because I was covering the artwork. But here you can see it. Now I've turned it off. And I can close it and I can go right back into the layer by double clicking again and just turn it on again. So you got that going on. Now he's going down. And I'm thinking about the trajectory of his legs, that by the point he gets to about this point, maybe I should draw those extremes between this one. I wouldn't even say they're extremes, these key poses. The extremes is exactly how far they would go. So I guess technically they would be extremes. Extreme kind of keyframe. But since I'm winging it, we're not thinking about it. So we're just doing it. You make as you learn as you do is my best way of looking at these kinds of things. When you're trying to discover a new program, this is how I learned anything in Harmony. It was just learning as you do. So I'm going to make an empty drawn here so it doesn't fill the exposure. So I'm going to create an empty drawn right here. It's number 2. And make a larger nib. Why is it not drawn on there? What is that all about? Oh, that's one thing that you should always look out for as well. You see how I just fooled myself? Um, yeah, and you may have been watching the whole time. And thanks for not saying anything. So I'll go back up to the layer art layer. And here we go. Oh my goodness. Some fun. But you also see how easy it is to kind of goof in these respects. But it's always good to check what you're doing as it gets really wild. Let's see, wild. And I say wild because this can become lots of layers of stuff just going on. Oh my goodness, lots of layers, and then you have these extended layers. It just gets kind of goofy after a while, so you have to kind of watch yourself as you go. It's a little bit longer. And I'm going to make these into twins over here. I know twinning is bad, but sometimes in cases like this, it's helpful. So if I'm rushing through, so we don't spend 3 hours, hopefully not here, going through this. So I already drew and colored the leg. Command C, Command V, Command Shift up, and then Command Shift to the left in this case. And then I'm going to grab my select tool and turn the beat around, bring it over here, and to get some squash action. So there you go. It's coming down. So now I have some bit of an understanding of where I'm going. See if my onion skin lets me know anything about that. There you go. I can extend these so I can see where I'm going and where I'm coming from. So I think for these, for his second set of legs, they're going to be similar, but eventually they're going to start to move up. I guess this one will get there faster. So, in this position faster. So we stagger it a little bit. Hopefully I'll remember to do that. So let's see. Let's make a clone or duplicate of this one. F5. And I'll just duplicate it. And I can use my command keys. It's like you can see, like for a moment, I have my, let's see if I have my line. Yes, no. I'll just, if I was just pointing out that if you have your brush selected, you want to temporarily just grab your, select tool. You can just hold down your command key and just drag a circle around it and just hit delete. and go right back to drawing. I'm just pointing that out. But that's not what I need this for. I just need to do this. So we see that happening. We turn off the onion skin. I think this leg be a little bit more over here. Okay. And let's keep going. I'm going to say this leg should look, and you can turn down the opacity, I believe, of your onion skin if it's too hot, too red or too green. You can bring it down. No, that's not the way you bring it down, actually. It's just reducing the frames that it's covering. I believe, let's see. Oh, it's right here. So many buttons to press. And so you can tap on onion skin and light table translucency, transparency. There you go. And you can say, let's see, your onion skin opacity should be lower. There you go. I like that. It's easier to look through, and I can hit OK. So, before I discovered that, I was lost for a while. So let's start to make these legs look a little bit different, like more like towards what it's about to get to on the other end. So let me just draw an original leg instead of just doing it the cheapo way, like copying and pasting. I'm thinking of a transition foot. That should be pretty interesting. Never tried that. I've done a lot of these bouncing ball ones, but I've never tried this kind of position. I think I'm inspired to because of the weird look of his boots. Is trying to make me explain how is it turned. And it's going to be so fast, I'll never be able to see this terrible foreshortening job that I'm doing on the fly. So, yeah, be a blip on the map. But it'll do the heavy lifting of trying to give the illusion that it's moving is, towards us and then up into the air. And this leg, this little piggy, let's see, is just coming up. So swirl something like this, I suppose. That's where your underlay could help. But since I'm using my pencil tool, some of that has helped over here, just being able to overlap my lines, just knowing that I can go back with my cutter tool and get rid of them. So now I can go back in and tap on the areas that I don't want. But you already knew that. Doing such a terrible job lining up the center point. Making me Command Z crazy. Raise that a little bit. Leg may be a little too big too. I mean, I know it's coming towards us, but sheesh. And again, this, may not work out as far as, what it looks like, but you can see how easy it is to go back in and just fix this. Whoopsie daisy. Sometimes if an area doesn't let me, color it in, I just click and drag slightly across it and it fills in the color for me. And for things like this, where there's little pieces sticking out, I can always magnify and going closer and kind of nudge it where I need it to go. I'm going to use my brush to paint behind, making sure that I have it selected. F5, extending it. See how that's looking. Yes. His legs get a little bit bigger over time. See if I can fix that before I go any further. And here's something cool right here that can help out as well that I've not shown you yet. I can go right over here to my perspective tool. It's nestled where I found my contour editor that I've been using on and off. Where perspective, drag a line around it, and now you can just pinch the corners of the bounding box. And now his legs appear a little bit more thin at the where where his legs should be, like the vanishing point going towards into the distance. Have his foot coming more towards us. Same here, but I think I may still scale them overall. Let's see how that works or not. Yeah, I can live with that for now. And again, I can always fix these things as I go. All right, next set of legs that gets to that. I think we can use something like this for this, for the next one. But let's see. Let's not get too ahead of myself over here. No, let me see if I can use one of these legs. As a matter of fact, it doesn't always have to be something that I go to the duplicate key. Let's see. I use my select tool and I just grab one of the legs, Command C. I'll go over here and I'll just hit in my workspace area, Command V. And now I can bring the leg up to wherever I want it to be. I will say his leg looks like that at this point in this frame. Now this leg, his right leg, is now getting to this point over here. So I can reuse some of that just to speed this up. So I'll just drag around it. Whoop, whoopsie doodles. Let's go back to those legs. Command C. and Command V right inside. And I can just drag it away from that leg. It's so helpful that it doesn't fuse with the other artwork that was there. That may have happened if I hit flatten before all this, but I don't think so. I don't know. Uh, so let me just turn it around. You could tell that I'm not a genius at this, but there are things that, come with experience. And it's also very helpful, once again, to know that Harmony, Toon Boom, they make a great product, man. I'm not an official endorser of Harmony, but I have to say, as in my work in life, it's made my life much easier as a digital artist professional, or somebody that works in animation in general. My life is made so much easier by both Toon Boom Harmony and Storyboard Pro. I do a lot of storyboard work. You can always find me at bradrodriguezart.com to check out my storyboards and storyboard animatics. I do a lot of that stuff, as well as animation directing. So let's see. Yeah, both legs would look like this by this point, but just not as exaggerated. So I can maybe bring them in a little bit. Yeah, even at this point, then it should be brought in a little bit. Let's do that. And then imaginary, not imaginary, temporary pivot down over here. So I can do that. That's only right too, because his leg just came towards us. His foot just came towards us. So it recedes a little bit. So I'm going to copy that one. Command C, Command V in the workspace area, and give it a little bit of tilt. I may end up giving a little bit more tilt to this leg over here. So I just want to kick him in the face. So just into place. That's fine. And I'll just, do the old twinner. Command C, Command V, and turn the beat around. And go up one, or shift, Command Shift up once, I should say. And so there we go. Now I'm creating a little bit of a tangent over here, which I always seek to avoid. Let's make this a little bit more extreme. Looks so wild. Drag from here now. I don't have to waste time doing that with this leg as well, because I just did that here. Command C, delete, Command V, Command Shift up, and flip horizontal. So yeah, that's kind of working. I don't know. I'm always second guessing what I'm working on. Let's see. I'm, certain that you guys can see the imperfections as well. You're like, no, that leg should be over there, or he's not centered enough. You fix this over here. Now that I'm kind of making his legs part a little bit and realizing on the fly that that looks a little better, even though I'm making a bit of a tangent, or I'm making a tangent. But let's keep going. And again, it's gonna be there for a fraction of a moment. So yeah, let's make some original legs over here. The flat legs, let's connect those. Bring that even flatter to the ground. And here is where I think I would want to use underlay arts. And I'd need to enable them again. So you can see that the old one showed up. You can see the ghost of it showed up somewhere in here. So now I can go back to my ink and just kind of just free sketch without feeling like it has to be a permanent drawing. All right, I think that's good enough. And I will go back to my layer art layers so I don't confuse and embarrass myself again. And here we go. And it's always good to watch lots of tutorials, not just this one, but tutorials in general. I'm a big fan of Stylus Rumble. I forget who is the artist that does a lot of them, but she is a goddess, and I've learned so much from her over the years. And so if any of this that I'm showing you guys is helpful, some of this comes from just watching a lot of Stylus Rumble and a lot of just getting it wrong on my part. Just in other words, practicing a lot, just having a lot of time to, get it wrong before you get it right, and be willing to do that. One thing I don't like to play are video games because as a child it would frustrate me and make me, like, oh, I don't want to go back to it. And if you don't go back to it, you never get better at it. That's how people get really good at video games. Even to this day, I'm not a gamer, but I understood that about myself when it comes to animation. So it makes me say to myself, you should, allow yourself to mess up because, eventually there's going to be a breakthrough moment when you just click and you're, I got it. Let me see if I can bring this leg a little bit more on the outside. You see that the underlay follows it as well. The underlay bit that I've drawn. And so I'm going to copy this, Command C, Command V, and Shift up. And, I could go to the left, but it doesn't really matter. Flip it horizontally, bring it on over to the other side. And connect it like a socket. That should work. And for now, I'll just turn this off. Those legs are getting way too big. I'm sure you were screaming on the other side, like, dude, they're too big. They try that with all of them. Yeah, there's no model anywhere for what I'm doing right now. Much better. Although his feet could be much bigger. And now that I've reduced his feet or his entire legs in size, now the scale of the feet are wrong. So just to not have that come back and haunt me, I can do that on the fly really quick. Nice little precision cut. Bring that foot up. Also make it a little bit wider. I think this might be a little too much, but I think that might be just about right. Nope. Command Z, you know, you can always go back, try to get it right. That looks a little better. And I'll just copy that and just put that in place. No biggie, smalls. There we go. So Command C, Command V, and Shift up, and then flop it. And just bring it on over. And I'll just place it where I see where it should go. I'll just go up over here. You just say, oh boy, this is so awkward. You're getting replaced. Then let's bring it down over here. Yeah, I'll buy that for now. I know his legs kind of shift as they go, and the proportions and size. But again, something I can always go back and adjust. So let's continue with F5, these same legs, but a duplicate of them. Let's bring these bad boys out. Even just bring out that. And a free riffing over here. Bring this out more, a little bit more extreme. I think that works. That'll work just fine. Command C, Command V, and Shift up. And let's turn it around. We're going to cross using Shift and Command at the same time. Makes it go a lot faster than hold and Shift. I'll just bring it down. And go do a little recoil over here. Well, I could just use the substitution. Just copy, paste happy over here right now. That's kind of funny, actually. And let's see. I'll make another extended legs over here. Yeah, I'll just make a duplicate. And I'll bring this leg in. Although I guess coming back in. But I'll bring it about right over here where it should be, really. Get rid of this one. Command C, Command V, Command Shift up, flip it, bring it on over. See how that looks from a distance. Yeah, it's starting to take shape. That's weird right there. That's not right. What is that? Whoops. On the wrong layer. There we go. Let me bring this down about here, and this goes up here. That's just crazy if it's not. Wait, am I making, hopefully not. Yeah, I'm goofing over here. Look what's happening. That shouldn't be. So 7, I should be more mindful of what I'm creating over here. But that's a goof. But look again, even when you're goofing live, check this out. Just make a duplicate of it and just bring it over. Big whoop. So you just go back to the affected layers in frames, sorry. So used to saying layers. Layers, frames, right? Let's do that. So that's more of an individual leg, but I've definitely messed up the legs that I had before. So let's go back. There's also Command Z and things. You know, you can go back a certain amount of times just by holding down Command Z. But I don't think it's going to go back as enough for me. I think I have only mine set to about 50. So let's troubleshoot over here. These legs, this one over here is number 7. So number 7 now is going to look differently. This is going to so at least be a duplicate. I'll call it number 11. Be whatever you want it to be, really, as long as it's not tethered to the one that it's based on. Is the point. I'll do that. I was copy and paste crazy, guys, and that led to this. So let's see. That's going to be the recoil because that's a new number. I mess it up. Let me, just to be safe, I'm going to make this into duplicate. Just to even be safe, I'll just create a new one. So it doesn't affect the others. Making this really flat over here. I'll do the same thing here without having to do too much copy and pasting. I think that's cost me enough. All right. Back on track. In the anime days, this would have driven me nuts to try to fix. Okay, so the legs are coming back in. This time when I make an F5, I'm going to make sure to duplicate it and now do the adjustment over here. Well, these legs are coming in and I'm not going to get crazy, but I'm going to try to bend them a little bit so they're on their way up. We'll go to Twin City over here. Command C, Command V. Command Shift up, and then I'll be able to flip. Oh, in the meantime, while I have it, I can place it right here. I can just, make like text and, text edit it and just hit Command X. Get rid of it. Command V. Here we go. That's a little stiff. So think I might want to do something a little different with these legs. I want to give a little bit of like a slide across the floor as he comes back up. So because I am working with my pencil tool, I can go to my contour editor and possibly, that's my perspective tool, contour editor, and do something like that. But you see that there's all these little points that I want to be in competition with. So then I'm forced to then do something like this. I'm going to keep this base point over here, but I'll just cut over here with my cutter tool. I'll use my command and option buttons, keys compressed, to, do my rotation of the canvas so I can catch a better line. And I'm going to do a little bit more shaving over here with my cutter. I can also get rid of that now that I'm here. And now I'll just do something like that. Now begs the idea that this should be happening to the foot too. Like, why is the foot, broken almost? So let's do that. Give it a little bit of drag, and it should move in a little bit more too anyway. So it's different than the last frame. Shift X to right myself. I'll just click on the negative spaces, tap on it so I can deselect what I had with my cutter tool. So I'll just use that. Instead of that. That should be fun. Put his way back up. Let's draw those legs in. I love drawing substitutions. I hate symbols. I'm gonna have to bring the scale down for those legs. Now I may have to bring up the scale for feet. So do that. So glad for the cutter tool and the select tool. Here we go. I'm going to get closer so I can kind of bring the puzzle pieces back in, so to speak. You can kind of see them kind of matching up with the line. Hopefully, yeah, I'll live with that. Yeah, okay. So, and C, Command V, and Shift up. Whoops. Whoopsie doodles. Let's do that one more time. Command C, Command V. Let's try again. Let's see. V. Yeah, there we go. I don't know why. Oh no, I took a piece of his butt from the torso. Gotta watch out those layers. Let's go back. Man, Z as much as you can, Brad. But you don't grab 2 layers of rat farts. So just make sure I'm back. Okay. Oof. I hate when that happens. All right. Command C, Command V, Command Shift up, and turn the B to rim. All right. And wait. I hear the Jeopardy song as I do this. You can start to identify which legs start to look the biggest. Like, come on, dude, that's a little too big. Like, it's a little too thick. It's the thickest that his legs ever get. I'll have to come back and check them out. Maybe. I haven't played it back. I'm just trying to move through them sequentially as they go, so I can kind of get a feel for them on the go. This is what's known more so as straight ahead animation. I know that I use a few, 2 sets of legs as key poses, which is a principle of pose to pose animation. But me just making this up on the fly with no general plan is considered totally straight ahead animation. And that's why you run into things like I have run into things like legs become in different proportions and different sizes. You're going to want to really plan if you're making your own bouncing ball or anything you're making animated, really, and you want it to be successfully done as an experiment that, all your hard efforts, to get it right pay off. You're going to want to plan with a pose to pose sketch, at least. Just sketch on paper, sketch on your iPad, sketch on a napkin, sketch it and take a picture of it, and then bring it into Harmony. You can import it immediately right over here. If you don't know how to import, you can import it right over here to images, and it will show up on its own layer. And you could use it as your own, trajectory path of the animation. Using arcs is always most helpful. So try that. So don't be like me. So let's bring these legs up. Let's go. I'm trying to figure out. I guess at this point his foot would be like that. And let's draw those crazy Wolverine boots. Again, not too worried about the detail of it. My Command Z tells me otherwise. But I'm thinking more about, the idea that it's not going to be on screen too long. And I love, again, that overlapping, lines, each line stroke, that ability to be able to just take your cutter tool and just tap on the areas you don't need anymore is so helpful. It can look like madness at first as you're intersecting all these lines, intersecting them. So yeah, it takes a little getting used to, but it's definitely helpful. That's a little crooked. I may start that one over. make that with a straight line edge, and I'm gonna be forced to do that. Rats. Because that is not cool right there. You get rid of that. Always be clear as much as you can in your work, so that things don't smush into each other, or feet don't look really weird like the one that I'm drawing right now. That I'm just drawing freehand, so it's not really on model or in proportion to the rest of them. Oh yeah. I'll close this up over here. Wow. Again, you're making a video. Use the latest version of the program that doesn't have wacky, selections or selection features. If you have the brush selected on black, but then you want to go to the paint bucket and then you go to it and you think you have black selected, but no, it's yellow. Uh, don't be like me. There we go. Still a little too big, but funny. It's a funny drawing. That leads one funny drawing leads into the next. So let's do that. Skinny at his leg a little bit. That's just so weird. I think his foot needs to be bigger. Even though it's foreshortening towards us in the worst possible idea of what foreshortening is. Let's see. I have so many friends and colleagues that would say, dude, terrible foreshortening. You bust each other's chops a lot. Okay. So yeah, I'll be able to live with that. So let's just say that that's twinned as well. Command C, Command V, Command Shift up. Just flip that sucker around, bring it on over to the other side. All right, Wolverine's on his way back up. So that's going to be a straight shot up. So let me think about that with my underlay arts enabled. And let me just also look at my first set of legs, because that's the pose we're going to go into. So at some point, let's see, so they're on the way up. Yeah, that leg's going to crease underneath, and that one goes back up. So I may be going back to that reference. All right. They're both, let's see, both legs are flying up this moment. But one is going to, raise faster than the other. A little measuring. Okay. I'll just draw a little bit of the silhouette of the boots in there. And again, those legs seem a little thick, so I'm gonna leave a little guide for myself. All right, those feet should be about that yay big. That should be fine. Go back up to layer black. With that, it's switched on me just between the pencil and the brush. For goodness sake. Oops, I follow my sketchy template. So much easier when you have a plan. He's shooting up, so that's why I make his feet at this point so pointy, so pointy. I could twin it, but a minute to win it. I also rhyme. All right. Turn off those underlay parts. I'm going to bring down this scale just slightly. Those legs. Actually, let me just do this. That's funny. Give a little bit more immediacy to his light up. That's funny. All right. Stop enjoying that. Let's give one more where his legs are kind of extreme. So maybe I could use these, but toggle them a little bit in the same way. So I'll try it here. I'll hit F5 and separate them as into a clone. Now his legs should be totally doing his thing. So well, let me think. No, I think I'll give him one more asset flying up pretty quickly. But I'll toggle these this time. So F5, duplicate. Although it is pretty funny seeing them like this, like it's the last thing to, snap back. So I'll just do it so slightly. To do it more. and bring them down. Whoopsie doodles. This seems about fine. And those legs are going to definitely have to change. The ones where he goes splat. Okay, so now could I use some of those legs? Let's see. Oh, well, his legs are doing that on the way back up. So I could use this backwards. So let's see. That's number 4. Let's find number 4. So take a duplicate. F5. That seems a little too immediate. It doesn't belong there. So I can always get rid of what I have here and just use it here. So let's just find it again. No, I don't think that's actually right at all. And if you ever wanted to get rid of a drawing substitution that you said, you know what, I don't actually need it, I have a 19 already, I could easily just go here to the frame the drawn in particular in the frame, right click and go to drawings and delete selected drawings, and it will get rid of it for good, and you won't find it in your drawn substitutions library ever again. So let's see. So I need a better idea. So yeah, I think I just might use this. Let's see, maybe I might just manipulate it a little bit. Just trying to find quickest way to not have to use anything, not to redraw anything or draw in general. So I just put this over here. Now it's number 19. I know, I'm lazy. And so just to be sure, give a little bit of oomph. Fix that. Let's just extend those, twist them on the way up. F5. I duplicated it. That might look a little weird on the cycle back. But let's see. This one should be further. So let's see what we have here. Turn off my onion skin, turn off my light table. But of course I'll have to make this bigger eventually. No, not bad. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Okay, so I guess up next are the last part, the claws. So almost there, guys. It's happening.